I feel honored to be able to introduce these two young ladies. I've known them most of their lives, and they are amazing. And this is the first time that they're telling their sister's story and their story. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Taylor Donadeo's sisters, Nikki and Logan. Hello?
Hello, my name is Nikki, and this is my sister Logan. We first want to begin by saying that it truly is an honor to be here and to be given the opportunity to speak to you all today. Some things we say today will be very personal, and it may be difficult to hear because it's definitely hard to speak about. This is our first time speaking to a large crowd, especially about such a fragile subject, but we ask that you please be patient with us. People usually talk about those that suffer with mental illness, but nobody ever sees or talks about what they leave behind. And that's why we're here, because I know that Taylor would have chosen a different path had she seen the destruction that she left behind. When I was first asked to speak, my initial reaction was fear. Fear of public speaking, obviously, but mostly the fear of opening old wounds that have yet to heal, because suicide does that. It creates a wound so deep in the people left behind that they never truly, completely heal. Our wounds were created the morning of January 6th, when our sister, Taylor Donadeo, decided to end her life.
Hi everybody, I'm Logan, as Nikki said. Again, we would just like to thank you for having us today. Nikki and I will be sharing with you our own stories of Taylor's death and how it affected us and our families. I will talk about my best friend, other half, and most importantly, she was my twin sister. Taylor and I were 16 years old and juniors at Beaver Falls High School. We spent every second together, almost inseparable. We shared the same friend groups, hobbies, clothes. We even slept together in the same bed. We did the same sports growing up and even took most of the same classes. She would always be willing to take care of others, but she forgot how to take care of herself. That comes to the real life tragedy that I am about to tell. Okay. Show of hands. How many of you have a sibling? Okay. Keep that in mind while I finish my story. Imagine waking up one day, everything appears normal. You go through your daily morning routine, head to school with your sibling. You continue on with your day like any other usual day. But in the blink of an eye, this day takes a turn for the worst. This normal day turns into a nightmare that you'll have to accept for the rest of your life. You get called into this small, empty room, and you see your family sitting there. Everyone is there besides one person, that sibling you woke up next to. The police are there. They tell you that she had killed herself. Hard pill to swallow, right? Taylor left the classroom with me sitting 2 seats away from her. Walked past her own mother, who is a lunch lady at the school. Walks up the hill and jumps in front of a moving train. Imagine getting that news. Did we have a rough upbringing? Yes. Did we have struggles and life challenges that any normal 16-year-old would face? like bad grades, terrible friends, heartbreak. Yes. But everyone has bad days. Everyone hits a bump in the road, here and there. People have days, months, or even years where they don't feel good enough, or something doesn't go the way they expected, or whatever reason it may be. But to end a precious life before it even got to begin, that isn't fair. For me, I felt dead inside getting that news. I felt guilt, anger, sadness, and then nothing at all. I was so numb to where I don't even know what happened the entire year after that day. Sometimes I still live in a blur. My brain shut off. I don't remember her viewing, much of her funeral, or even months to follow. After Taylor's death, the pain I felt pushed me to have suicidal ideation or thoughts, and I had even attempted it myself. I know what it feels like to be where she was, to feel empty, to feel nothing at all. I get it, trust me. I got the help that I needed, which I wish Taylor would have got, but it was not easy by any means. It was the hardest thing I've ever done for myself, but it was so worth it. There are times where I still break down and cry, or have an anxiety attack because I hear a simple train whistle. But getting the help was the best thing I've ever done. I am here, and I get to live. I am now a mother to the sweetest little 5-year-old boy. I'm in school to be an occupational therapy assistant. I just got my own apartment, have the most incredible boyfriend a girl could ever dream of having, and the most amazing support system that consists of my family and friends. If I would have taken that easy route, then I would have never got the chance to experience any of this. My poor, sweet Tay-Tay will never be able to experience life's treasures. She will never get the chance to meet my son, or any of my children, or my future husband. She won't be able to experience having kids or getting married herself. She can't travel the world like she once wanted to, and will never get the chance to move down to Florida. She didn't even get the chance to create herself or show the world what she was capable of. For me, there will be a spot empty on my wedding day, like there was in my prom pictures and at graduation. I have to bring my 5-year-old son to a headstone and show pictures of her to people I meet. I can't hug her or cry with her. I can't laugh or fight with her. I mean, we fought a lot. I can't come home or call her and tell her something good that had happened, or go to her when I need advice. Each and every one of her loved ones lost all of that when she committed suicide. She can't do any of that anymore. But one thing she can do is save another life. Mental illnesses may take over your life for a short time, but do not let it take your life forever. Trust me, I'm living proof. But I'm also living proof that you can beat mental illness and turn your life around.
For me, the morning was like any other. I got my oldest daughter up and ready for school. I made breakfast for my younger daughter, and we sat on the porch waiting for her bus with a cup of coffee. My biggest concern that day was installing a new computer that I had just purchased. And during the middle of that task, I got a phone call. It was my mother asking Is Taylor with you? Confused, I replied no, but that wasn't abnormal. Taylor came to me often with problems. When life would become too much to bear, she considered me her go-to person. What confused me was that it was noon on a Friday in January. Why wasn't she in school? Apparently, Taylor decided to leave school that day without saying anything to anyone. She was missing for hours. While my family and I combed the streets of Beaver Falls trying to find her, frantically calling her phone with no answer. Then it happened. Our life as we knew it came to a screeching halt. That is when my biggest concern of the day, installing that stupid computer, turned into having to tell my children, who were 11-6, that one of their favorite people in the entire world was dead. It was a nightmare, having to rip away their innocence. For days, I was on autopilot, going through the motions, numb. I had to pick out her casket and decide what she was going to wear in that casket. Eventually, we decided on her cheerleading uniform because that's what she loved to do. I had to write eulogies and thank you cards for the outpouring of support that we received, all while trying to comfort my parents, my sister, my children, my cousins, but I didn't know how to do this because I couldn't find comfort myself. I was in a state of shock, void of all emotion, everything that I knew how to do, things that were second nature, things like getting out of bed, brushing my teeth, eating, smiling, talking, breathing. I had to remind myself how to breathe. I had to remind myself how to live. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and the world around me continued to spin while mine was at a standstill. I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs, "My sister is dead. I can't do this. Can everybody please stop living because I don't know how to anymore?" But that's not how it works. Much like depression, you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and face each day. Minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, month by month, and now year by year. Reminding myself to live, to hold on, because I know that one day I'm not going to have to remind myself to live. The day of her death replayed over and over in my mind, like a movie on repeat. I couldn't shut it off. I was changed. Had Taylor known her death would have affected me like this, I know she would have fought harder. But now I live in a world without her. The sun wasn't as bright. The night was much, much darker. The silence that I once welcomed now became deafening. I had to find a new normal. I had to find a way to embrace her life and not her death. I turned to God and I asked him to help me to forgive her, to help me fight through the overwhelming guilt and sadness that consumed my heart. I had to focus on the amazing 16 years that I was blessed with her presence and her love. I had to push that void she left to the back. Like Logan, I too have been on both sides. I was in a place so low that I wanted the pain to end. When I was 12, I tried to take my own life. So not only am I a victim, I am a suicide survivor. And I can tell you that I am happy that I've pushed through. I've been able to live a life so full of amazing people and experiences. I've been able to love and be loved, to make mistakes and learn from them, to know heartbreak and grow from it, to fail, to succeed. Life is about ups and downs and checks and balances. Nobody's ever said that life's gonna be easy, but I promise you, standing here today, life is worth it. Today, I'm proud to say I'm a registered nurse, a mom to 2 beautiful daughters and 3 puppies. I am the wife of a loving, supportive husband, and I am an aunt to a gorgeous little boy. I am living my very best life. We both still suffer from major depression disorder, anxiety, PTSD, but we have learned to embrace the challenges that life throws at us, to love a little bit deeper, to hold on a little bit longer, and to forgive. While Taylor's death robbed us of so very much, it has also taught us an extremely valuable lessons, like to appreciate and cherish one another. You don't know what tomorrow brings. To be kinder, because you don't know how much your words can touch others. To slow down and take a deep breath when needed. It has given us the need to finally tell her story.
Taylor's death impacted so many people. Family members and friends were in disbelief. I do remember there being a line outside of her funeral that stretched on for a mile. Random people who had no idea who Taylor was came to her funeral crying. There's actually an entire cheering squad who showed up from like an hour away. Hundreds of people showed up for support and goodbyes. Now, I didn't want to talk about that due to the amount of attention that it caused, because I know that this generation is all for craving the attention. But that's not what this is about. Her story isn't about getting attention at all. It's about mental illness. It is about a gorgeous young girl who got ripped away from her life, from her loved ones, because of one major decision that she chose in one split second. Bless you. You're welcome. Here, fellas. Where am I at? Her depression was so severe that she didn't even want help. Her pain was too much for her to handle. She took the easy way out. She got to erase her pain and suffering. But what about us? What about everyone she left behind to deal with the aftermath? Yeah, that aftermath was not pretty. Still isn't. But Taylor was so much more than the girl who committed suicide, which is what she was remembered for now. After a month after her death, I was on the computer doing homework when I stumbled across an unfinished document, one that Taylor had started a year before. She stated that we, her family and friends, would be better off without her, that we would be sad, that we would be okay in a year. She felt that she didn't belong in this world, that things couldn't get better. She didn't want to be a burden to her friends and family. She could not have been more wrong. Taylor had a heart so big and full of love. She commanded attention wherever she went with her contagious laugh and crooked little grin. She was captain of the cheerleading squad, a talented first baseman for her high school softball team, an A and B student, extremely popular and breathtakingly beautiful. From the outside looking in, she was seemingly perfect. Unfortunately, inside was a completely different picture.
If you don't experience a loss like suicide, it's hard to imagine. You can't, really. It's something entirely different than any other loss. It leaves its victims overcome with guilt, with questions that can never be answered, with anger that is hard to tame, and with wavering faith. I know that Taylor wouldn't want that for us. She would have held on to the hope of things getting better, but she didn't. What she did is leave behind an ugly truth. She left behind a mother who turned to alcohol to numb the pain. She left behind a father who lives in constant fear. She left behind a twin who made reckless decisions to ease that pain. She left behind me, who has isolated herself to protect her heart from further pain. She left behind two nieces who had to grow up way before their time to deal with a death that they should never know. She left behind multiple friends and family whose lives will never, ever be the same, who have their own stories to tell of how her death affected them. She left behind a boyfriend who turned to drugs and died as a result. He left behind a daughter who will never know her father. Suicide is hard. Her death has put burdens on marriages, has ended friendships, has separated families, has caused financial hardship. Her death has infected an entire community. My point is, it's never just about the ones who die. It has a trickle-down effect. Suicide is a hurricane that changes everything in its wake. We've all done the best we can to repair this damage, to rebuild from the aftermath, but the cracks in our hearts and in our souls will always bear the scars that Taylor's death has left behind. It's been almost 7 years, and we're still repairing those foundations. It is our goal now, with our foundation a little bit stronger, to tell our story and to hopefully save a life, even if it's just one, because every life matters. Every single person in this room matters. We can now try to bring positivity out of our darkness, and the only way that we can do that is to create the awareness and to open the lines of communication about mental illness and suicide. It should be talked about as openly as bullying or teen pregnancy, drugs, alcohol abuse. The stigma needs to be erased. Taylor made a mistake that she can never learn from. A mistake that, as we hope you can see, has had a profound effect on so many people. Not only our lives, but the lives of an entire community. So if you can learn one thing from today, never be afraid to fight for your life. Talk about your own mental health issues or your loved ones. If someone confides in you, or you have your own thoughts of suicide, tell somebody. Don't be scared to speak up or be scared to be willing to put the work in and get the help that you need. Life is a battle, but it is a battle definitely worth fighting. Please help us spread Taylor's story so that you may be able to save a valuable life. In closing, we would like to thank you all for listening and to tell each and every single person in this room that you are worth it.